think we're going into that next kind of phase from TikTok Shop where, again, it's going to be brands going live. It's going to be creators going live and doing that quite frequently. I also think we're probably not quite there yet, whether it's next 12 months or 18 months, but I feel like you've seen retail, a lot of these retail spaces are just either get shut down or wasted. So I do think there will be an element where brands will maybe have like a segment in their kind of space where their live's going on. I think that's where it's going to go a lot more in terms of that side of things from a TikTok Shop perspective. And also there'll be an element where you can literally be just in your room and you go to your wardrobe and it's like, oh, they don't want to buy this. And literally someone can buy there and there. I think that's definitely where it's going from a social commerce perspective.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Smart Marketer Podcast. Zach Dampier, content coordinator here at Smart Marketer, and I am here with the one and the only Ashley Wright here at Smart Marketer Live in Denver, Colorado. He just got off the stage yesterday, giving a great talk. Ashley, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, really good. Again, thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's dive in. Tell people a little bit about you that might not have heard of you before.
Yeah. So I'm Ashley Wright from UK. Basically, I run a TikTok Shop agency called Social Tail. So we help all brands who want to get on the platform or looking to scale. So we work with brands in multiple different categories. We've done over 18 million on TikTok Shop right now. And again, as TikTok Shop continues to grow, we're obviously a big part of it.
I'll tell you what, guys, whenever somebody gets on stage, you can tell when they have the audience's attention. As soon as you got there, I could just see everybody in the crowd lock in. I saw a bunch of pencils moving. For people that couldn't be here, just give them one key takeaway that you really think from your presentation would be great for anybody, marketer, entrepreneur, to really benefit them going into 2026 and Q4.
Yeah, I think especially with TikTok Shop, because it's kind of the golden goose, I like to call it, everyone thinks it's something they should be jumping into. But again, I always think realistically, you want to make sure that you've got obviously your ducks in rows in terms of that. Your Meta's doing good, your Google's doing good. And then again, then add in TikTok Shop to the mix, because even though it's such a great platform, and obviously I enjoy the platform itself, but I feel like there's a lot that goes into it, either resources, time, or money. And to be honest, probably all of that together. So realistically, you want to know if you can afford to do it, but you don't want to do it like half-hearted or kind of like guess at it. You want to basically say, okay, I'm going to commit to this for at least 6 months. And I would say it takes at least 3 months. You have that cold start period, which again is going to be a little bit longer to kind of get traction. So you've got to be saying, okay, I'm willing to spend on sending out samples, affiliate commission, whether you're working with an agency or bringing someone in-house to do it. So again, there's a lot of overall cost that goes into it. So again, you've got to be realistic in terms of if it is the right fit for you, because what we see right now is a lot of brands that obviously hear from other brands who are doing really well or getting good results, and they think, oh, well, we could do the same thing. But there's a lot more that kind of goes into it behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. And especially any platform that kind of has that golden goose kind of reputation at a time, like everybody feels like they need to hop on, but you need to make sure it is something that really resonates with your target audience. Like Ezra's Boom, for example, is mostly for older women. A lot of people see the golden goose, see the trends that are on there, especially like, early stages of TikTok, all the dancing trends.
Yes.
And so they're like, oh, this got 5 million views. Let me do this dancing trend for the company. Exactly. Like, yeah, you might get 10 million views, but how many of those are, women under the age of 25 that have no interest in your product? So finding the golden goose, but also making sure the things that you're doing on the platform and the platforms you're on are a place that will be your target audience, because all the views in the world don't work if it's not in your target audience.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, because people think, okay, a video's gone viral or it's doing really well, but then realistically, you got to say, has that actually turned into ROI at the end of the day? And sometimes it isn't. So again, you got to also think, okay, are we doing it for the right reason at the same time as well?
Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm really thankful for at Smart Marketer. I run all of our social media platforms. And so
doing a good job.
Obviously, thank you. I appreciate that. And so obviously, like I said, Molly's my cousin. So it's a great boss to have, and everybody else along the way. Sam's my direct supervisor that's over the info side. But they just have a good understanding of marketing, where a lot of business owners that hire a marketer are, how many followers did we gain this week?
Yep.
How many views did we get? How many followers do we have? And like, those are their success metrics. Yes. And if you're not growing on the platform as quick as they would like, if they're not seeing viral posts like every week, every month, they feel like you're not doing a good job. Where social media isn't the conversion tool. Correct. It's the identification tool. It's getting the brand in front of them. And it's a long life cycle, especially with the things that we sell. There are higher ticket courses, there are mentorship programs. Nobody just jumps in head first and is like, I'll give you a couple thousand every month to get your expertise. They're going to want to see what you're posting.
Yes.
I also run like the blog post. I help with the podcast and YouTube channel. So all of the free content we provide, they're really helping to provide that reputation, provide the credibility for us. Right. Exactly. Right, so it's one of those things that it's a very long tail. You might not see the immediate ROI and say, this post on October 15th is the reason that they decided to join our mastermind program, but it's a culmination of everything that we do. And they're like, every time I look at a piece of content from you guys, I learn something or I have a good time looking at it. Right. And that's why they trust you and want to move forward. So kind of a mindset for everybody. Social media, it can create conversions, but that's not really the end all be all for it. It is really there to help people learn who you are and get yourself in front of new people, especially organic. Obviously, paid traffic can be more conversion focused, but the organic traffic, let the social media managers breathe a little bit. Let them feel a little less stress. Be confident in their decision making and what they're doing, because it might not benefit you immediately in the metrics right now, but you will see a reward at some point.
Exactly, definitely that.
And I kind of stole your thunder for the next question. It might be something that you want to talk about, but what's one mistake that you see a lot of business owners make, especially within the TikTok realm and kind of getting on new platforms that would just be easy to avoid if they had the knowledge about it?
I think I would say the one thing is probably patience, because again, people expect immediate results, immediate kind of something from it, especially like say if you are putting that time and effort into it, sometimes it does take a little bit long. And especially what we see with TikTok Shop, there is that long kind of window that I always say to brands. So like in month one, you obviously want to make sure your products are all ready. We've got you're reaching out to the right affiliates. Then the thing that people forget as well, that affiliate has like 2 weeks to post a piece of content. So by the time month one's kind of gone, you've kind of not got anything out there until month two, where people are like, oh, what's happening? Why is it happening? Quicker situation. So again, I think definitely patience is one thing. And at the same time, probably just being more educated around the platform and understanding the nuances behind it. I think that definitely is something that the brands that understand that, it makes a little bit more sense. They kind of a bit more patient on it. And again, patience is hard because if you are spending obviously dollars to kind of get something, you kind of want to see that straight away. Obviously, like the finance person is like, well, we're spending this, but no ROI back from it. But I think definitely the platforms are changing. And again, you've got to be able to adapt to them, because that's the missing part in terms of if you don't adapt, you'll either get left behind or you won't see the results you want in the kind of time frame that it kind of needs to kind of get to that.
And so with your TikTok agency, do you have mostly American clients or are they more international?
Yeah, good question. So we've got about 85% of the brands we work with are in the US, and then obviously the rest is a mixture of like UK and a few brands in the Europe market as well.
So with you saying that, obviously like the instant gratification is a big thing, and I know it's a big reputation for people in the US. So I was going to ask if that is something that you saw more prevalent in the American clients, or if it's kind of something more universal that we as a society collectively are really getting into that. I need to feel success right now. I need to feel vindicated in my decisions.
Yeah, I think it's definitely universal. I think it's definitely because from my perspective, especially from a TikTok Shop perspective, because a lot of these brands are on your Meta where you can spend $1, you're going to get $3 back straight away. You can kind of see that response straight away, or you run it Amazon or anything like that. You kind of see it, whereas TikTok, you don't see it straight away. So I think that's definitely the reason for it, because their expectations are similar to what the other platforms are, but you can't see it that way. So again, if you've seen it like that, it's completely a different game you're looking at. So I think that's the reasoning for it, mainly because people are just too, I wouldn't say confused by it, but obviously like I say, they're too pretty much focused on what's happening, what's working, and expect TikTok as a new challenge of doing exactly that, the winning kind of formula straight away, which again is not obviously going to be as easy to do.
And I mean, it's kind of reiterating what we were just saying about the instant gratification with the social posts. And like you said, if we don't see 10,000 likes on this post, we feel like it was a failure.
It's not success. It's not post anymore. Let's do a different platform.
TikTok's exponential. Yeah, absolutely. We designed a new social media tracker last year that we included in our course, Smart Social. Check it out. And so it is able to be customizable. You can choose which metrics you actually follow with. And it has for each platform. And then there's a chart that has the graphs for each of them.
Nice.
Really beautiful. Sam Clark, our general manager of info, designed it. Great job, Sam. But looking at it from year over year, last 12 months, we realized, especially me, anybody deals with imposter syndrome, so I feel like, I'm not doing a great job. We're a marketing company and we're not hitting viral posts very consistently. So it's like, I just feel like people look at our page and they're expecting more, but then you look at it and you actually look at year over year and it's like, we doubled our follower count. Our actual page views per post, I think like tripled or quadrupled. So it's like, you don't see it in the day to day. It's truly that, 2 steps forward, maybe a step back, 2 steps forward, and it doesn't feel like much. And then, 6 months, 12 months, you look up and you're like, oh, I'm on the 5th floor of the building.
Exactly,
I started off in the basement.
That's the thing. And again, I guess people sometimes look too granular into like say that daily post and seeing that, but especially with social media as well, the momentum, and obviously it kind of just pick up traction again because how the platforms are now. A post you posted maybe 3-4 months ago can still get traction 6 months later as well. So I think that's definitely something that people do forget about.
For sure. And then you mentioned this is your first Smart Marketer event.
It is, yes.
So tell us a little bit about how that connection got made. How did you kind of get introduced to the brand, Ezra and Molly?
So I've been following Ezra and Molly for, shows my age a bit now, probably about 6, 7, even 8 years right now. So it's probably back in the days of obviously digital marketer and obviously knowing what Ezra did about Boom and stuff. I think, and again, don't quote me on this, but I found a course for Ezra because again, obviously I was learning e-com and NDT stuff like that. So I probably didn't pay for it, so I just had to, again, I think Shaq said it as well, so I probably owe Ezra some money for it. But again, I was just trying to learn everything because again, obviously I've been doing marketing for a long time and obviously Ezra was kind of the goat in the space. And obviously with Molly, I used to listen to the podcast and everything. So it was always trying to learn from people who were doing it really well. And obviously they were kind of the people that I was always looked up to, which is good. So luckily for me, like I say, because obviously I was doing the TikTok shop space kind of stuff. And then I just got approached by obviously Molly and they found me in terms of like, obviously the content I was putting out. They wanted someone to talk about TikTok shop. And then again, here I am today. So it's definitely been good because I think and again, it comes to the point, right? Because again, for me posting on social media, I post a lot on like LinkedIn and Twitter. So again, you sometimes don't think it's working in terms of when you're posting stuff or you might not be getting people liking it or commenting, but then people are actually seeing it. And so again, people are seeing your content, they're seeing your videos, stuff like that. And then maybe one day they'll be like, oh, would you come talk on a podcast or would you come talk here? And that always works. But again, you can't necessarily justify it straight away. And you're like, oh, I'm posting daily, nothing's happening for it. But again, it's proof here that obviously that's how I'm here today by just posting good content and obviously getting visibility. And that's why I'm here now.
Definitely. And like you said, this is your first Smart Marketer event. Obviously, we do things a lot different than most
really
marketing companies and marketing events. For the people that can't be here, I'm sure there'll be a video out at some point, but just give them a little insight into how the conference started off and kind of the culture shock of, oh, this is a lot different.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I've been to many conferences, and again, as soon as I stepped into this conference, and Molly already told me like it's going to be different, and the energy in itself was just great. There's DJ playing everything, but everyone's sitting down, and then all of a sudden you hear the Jeopardy music. I'm like, okay, this is an interesting start. And then all of a sudden you have all these characters come out in terms of like you had Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, who was it? Matthew McConaughey, and it was just so funny in terms of that. Just it kind of broke the ice really well in terms of people like just putting on an act in the show. And again, it was really good from that side of things. So again, I was front row as well. And again, there'll probably be some images of me because I don't know anyway, but I found it very funny in terms of that side of things. So that kind of started it off. And then again, it was just an easy vibe. You know what I mean? It's not like structured, well, obviously structured, but again, it's kind of just like really chilled. And again, I remember at one point, obviously, Ezra and Molly were on the stage, and obviously Molly mentioned me and then said I got a good accent. So then Ezra called me on stage to basically the accent. So again, it's just that kind of chill environment, which again, I think is really good to have like events like that, because again, some of them can be just like, you get there, it's very formal, you like sit down, people talk on stage. I think this is definitely a good crowd. And again, some good speakers have been up.
Yeah, I think that's two things that we've heard a lot about the Smart Marketer events is they love the roundtables because most events you're just getting talked to, and you get talked to, but then you get talked with.
Exactly.
You're able to actually look the expert in the face.
Yeah.
They can recognize your features. They're not, drowned out by light.
Yep.
You actually get to talk to them about your business specifically.
Exactly.
So I think that's one thing that's really different. And then obviously Ezra is the other factor.
Literally.
People come and they're like, we never know what to expect, but we know it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be a good time, and we're going to learn a bunch. Mm-hmm. So I think those are two things about Smart Marketer Live that just really sets it apart, and everybody comes and has a great experience with it.
Exactly that. No, it's been really, really good.
So tell us a little bit more about your agency and one of your recent wins that you've had.
Yeah, so for us, obviously, we're fortunate. Like I say, we've been doing TikTok shop since the very beginning now. So again, we are getting some good results with clients. So one of our bigger clients, Divi, they do like a hair scalp serum kind of product. So again, we started with them back in May 2024. Still running with them now. We've done pretty much over like nearly 6 million on TikTok shop with them alone. And again, from their perspective, and this is why I said earlier on as well, they were a brand that they were already doing well on Meta. They were on Amazon in retail because they're like Ulta and stuff, but they wanted to find a new channel. So it wasn't, is it going to work? They were more like, how can we make it work? So again, that for us is a perfect partner because obviously they trust us to be able to get that results for them. And again, we started slowly, but then it started to scale. And like I say, the thing with TikTok shop, when it works, it takes off like a rocket ship. So we're getting a lot more success stories like that now, which is great. And for us particular, I think the great thing is we can now pick the brand we want to work with. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't got the budget or the time to kind of do it, it's not going to make sense. So again, obviously, like I say, we work with the bigger brands who are obviously saying, okay, we want to go all in on TikTok Shop. And again, that's allowing us to obviously use because obviously on the platform, you want to be strategic, but you also want to be scrappy because it is still the wild, wild west, really. So again, we bring that to the brand who's got great products, great infrastructure, stuff like that. And that's allowing us to get great results on the platform.
It makes a lot of sense. With you being on TikTok, I'm sure you always are on the edge of what's coming in the future. Yes. So give us your big, bold prediction for 2026. What you think the TikTok and marketing space as a whole is really going to look like?
Yeah. I think from a TikTok shop perspective, I say the more social commerce, I feel like we're definitely going into the live shopping. I think it's going to continue to grow from that side of things. Again, obviously TikTok shop's kind of moving more in that direction because that's kind of their goal in terms to make it more of a channel where people can buy like QVC in terms of people that know. Because again, obviously with it, this thing stands today, obviously being a Chinese company, that's where it's quite big in terms of obviously live shopping. People literally just go on, they buy through that. So I think we're going into that next kind of phase from TikTok shop where again, it's going to be brands going live, it's going to be creators going live and doing that quite frequently. I also think we're probably not quite there yet, whether it's next 12 months, 18 months, but I feel like you've seen retail, a lot of these retail spaces are just either getting shut down or wasted. So I do think there will be an element where brands will maybe have like a segment in their kind of space where they'll be just doing lives all day. So again, it's more like if anyone's seen, there's an agency called Outlandish in Santa Monica. They've got like this big space where basically it's just lives going on. I think that's where it's going to go a lot more in terms of that side of things from a TikTok shop perspective. And also with social commerce, how people shop, whether it's like on eBay or Amazon or all these platforms, I think they're going to have that live element where, again, I think Gary Vee said it pretty well recently as well, that there'll be an element where you can literally be just in your room and you go to your wardrobe and it's like, oh, they don't want to buy this. And literally someone can buy there and there. I think that's definitely where it's going from a social commerce perspective. And then just in general, I think adding onto that, I feel like how consumers are shopping is completely changing as well. If you look like obviously people searching on ChatGPT now and obviously be able to purchase through that with the integration with Shopify. So I feel like it's not, brands have got to be in the right mind frame to think, okay, yes, people are still going to go to a website, Amazon probably second, but again, TikTok shop's new channel, people are going to shop through ChatGPT. So I think it's going to still continue to move in that direction. You've got to be able to capture the consumer where they are at the right time, which again, that's why the omni-channel kind of approach is definitely useful.
That makes a lot of sense. I do want to go back to what you said previously about being able to kind of pick the clients that you work with.
Yes.
I do think that's a big thing. And one thing that we've actually heard about the Smart Marketer Agency, one of our clients really appreciated whenever we had kind of our initial call to see if we would be a good fit for them is, they asked us our questions, then we had a set of questions to them because we want to make sure it's also a good partnership for both of us that works both ways. And they really appreciated the fact that we weren't, just going to take their money and not be a good fit for both the parties and just worry about the financial side of it. And I think that's something that a lot of people kind of struggle with, especially, with inflation and everything. A lot of people would struggle with coming to terms that they might need to raise their prices, and you might lose some customers that way. But whenever you look at the math of it all, with the amount of drop off you might get with the raised price, you might end up making the same amount of money and then not have to do nearly as much work. And it turns out a lot easier and better overall. One of our team members runs a trivia company.
Nice. And
they do a great job. They've won awards in their area 2 years in a row. And they haven't raised their prices once in the last 3 years. And we're like, man, like, you all started out with nothing, I understand, but you all are the two-time champs. At some point, the prices go up.
It's going to go exactly right.
You got to tell these people, like, we're bringing X amount of people in every day. People are coming for us, and then you're at the bar. Like, they'll buy the drinks from you, but, sometimes you have to come to terms with, we might not be able to be out running trivia 5 nights a week because people might not be able to pay that, but you raise the prices and you're doing 3 nights a week and you're making the same amount of money and you get to be home for 2 more nights. And then the same thing, marketing with labor costs and in like an actual e-commerce business, you might be able to make the same amount of money pushing less product, your COGS, cost of goods, is going down, and chances are your labor is also going down as well. So it's kind of coming to terms with the loss of customer is not always necessarily a bad thing.
Exactly.
To get the value that you deserve.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I think that's where it's kind of a mindset shift as well, whether you are a brand or agency thinking that you don't necessarily need more. Sometimes it's just like, say, upselling to what you've currently got as well, and like the LTV and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of like just understanding your metrics in terms of if you can do that. And again, once you kind of work that out, the data doesn't lie, right?
For sure. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, our mantra is serve the world unselfishly and profit. What does that really mean to you to be able to be a part of a conference where that's the mindset and that's the goal and where our efforts are at?
Yeah. For me, like I say, anyone who approaches me, I'm literally an open book, whether it's like a question from a brand or another agency doing the same thing as me. I am happy to kind of give my knowledge, my resources to anyone, because I always believe that the more we share one another, the more everyone kind of grows together, like that kind of sense. So again, from my perspective, I'm in it for the long-term thing. Like I say, I've been doing this e-com space for 14 years. I've been started from nothing. I've learned from people, like say, from Ezra, from Molly, from Shaq, from all them people out. So again, I feel like I'm kind of getting to the element now where people are asking me stuff. And again, it's kind of great because you kind of go full circle in terms of where you've been and then being able to help other people. Because again, for me, I can answer questions and do stuff with my eyes closed now, but some people, it's quite hard to them to understand in terms of like how do you run a TikTok ad or how do you run GMV Max. But for me, if I've got that knowledge, there's no point me keeping that to myself, whether someone's paying for it or it's free. I want to give that away so people can obviously learn that and then share it with other people, because then the whole ecosystem grows, we all grow together. And then again, I like to say, I believe in karma. I feel like if you give, you'll get back in return. And that's kind of my mantra.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that mindset. Obviously, that's what we think of here. But I also think people don't necessarily think of the actual benefits for their business acting that way, because they'll get the secret ad formula.
Yeah.
This is mine. I'm going to be better than everybody else forever. But then you think about the general public's opinion of ads, and they don't like them. Nobody wants to watch.
No one wants to watch that.
Nobody wants the ad on TikTok after a few scrolls. Nobody wants the sponsored post on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we all give each other those secrets, if we all get better, those ads are less disruptive.
Exactly.
The better the ads are consistently, the less offended people are, and the less likely they are to just swipe immediately. Yes. And you actually have a shooter's chance to get them interested in your product.
Exactly.
So as the entire community gets better in their advertising, that crucial hook of 3 seconds, now people are going to give you a chance, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and you have longer to get them engaged, get them entertained, and then eventually convert them later on as you retarget them and all that. So I think that's something that, people think that it's purely a karma or a good person thing, but realistically, it can be beneficial for your business
100%.
to help the people around you, because, like I said, as the advertising improves all around, the public opinion on ads will change, because obviously people do buy from ads.
Yeah, of course.
But if you ask somebody about how they feel about ads, just out of the blue, I would say 90-95% of people are going to say they can't stand them. Mm-hmm. There are too many of them.
Yes.
They're not good. Mm-hmm. They don't relate to me at all. And the other 5 or 10% are going to be advertisers like,
exactly.
I love ads. They're the way I feed my family. They're the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So like I said, that's just going to really be able to change the game as people, especially with AI, you're able to target them so exclusively and give them stuff that really tailors to their needs.
Yeah.
They're going to start being able to look at those ads and consume them and maybe not even realize that they're sponsored until it's too late. They're just going to think it's another thing on their feed that's suggested because it matches their algorithm.
Exactly right. And that's what hopefully we'll get into. And again, one thing we're seeing now as well, like mentioned about the hook rate, but now we are seeing kind of that flip as well in terms of like longer video formats for ads as well is starting to work very well. So again, like I say, it's just educating each other and then being able to educate the market. I think that's going to be the way forward.
Absolutely. I think that is about all that I have.
Amazing, man.
I think it was a great episode. So
thank you.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Hope you had a great time here in Denver. Have safe travels back to the old UK.
I know, right? London.
But that's all. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.